Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of 2 Corinthians, and I got up to chapter 5. I'm just going to do the first 10 verses of this. We get lots of similes and metaphors here. The language is fairly complicated, and again you'll need a commentary to explain it all to you. I will just translate what I can see in the Greek here. So he begins, oidomen ga, hoti ean he epigeos hemon oikia to skenus kataluthe, oikodomain ektheou echomin, oikian akaira poieton ionion in tois uranois. For we know that if... Now the epigeos is a two-termination adjective. It's a combination of epi plus this gay root of earth, so often translated earthly or earthy. It's a two-termination. It's going with oikia. So that if our earthly house... Now we get this funny genitive to skenos, and also normally in Greek, skene, it's a first declension feminine noun. Here we're getting to skenos, a third declension neuter noun. This is an example of metaplasmus, where you move from one declension to the other. It's only here in the New Testament, and apparently you do get to skenos in Plato once or twice, but it's very rare. So this is the skene. It's the same word, is simply changed declension. So this is a genitive, and it's slightly awkward here. It's sort of because it's the house of consisting of the tent. So it probably is referring to the body. I think when he's talking about these things, he's referring to the physical body that we inhabit. So just do this, and the verb here is kataluthe, aorist passive subjunctive from kataluo. And he's going to use cognate nouns. We've got oikia, we're going to get oikodomain, and we're going to get yet another synonym, slightly different, a bit like here we are, oikosterion. So I'll try and explain the differences of these as we go. So for we know that if our earthly house, which consists of a tent, kataluthe, might be destroyed, from kataluo, that if that happens, ekomen, we have an oikodomain. We have that's a word for a building from God, or at the hands of God. An oikian goes back to oikia again, a house, and we get two adjectives here, both of which are two terminations, so it's agreeing with oikian. It's alpha privative, keros, hand, and then poio. So a house, an eternal house, not made with hands, in the heavens. Often rendered as a house not made with heavens, eternal in... not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. But you can... There's got two adjectives here, no chi between them, which is why people take this more with the second phrase. So, just to do that quickly again, because this is quite difficult. So, for we know that if our earthly house consisting of a tent might be destroyed, we have from God a building, a house, an eternal house not made with hands, in the heavens. Kaiga en tuto stenasdomen to oik keterion hemon to ex uranu ep en dusasthai epipothuntes. Ege kai ek dusamenoi u gumnoi hurethe sometha. For, now the chi, what do we do with the chi? You can either just translate it for also. It's really just a connector here. A lot of translations leave the chi out, but for, perhaps I'll do it literally, for also in this stenasdomen we groan, literally from stenasdo, we groan, desiring. Now, what is the two-type referring back to? Well, it's not clear. It's neuter here or masculine. So it can't be agreeing back with the house, but it must be just this general, for in this situation we groan. Epipothuntes, desiring. Ep en dusastai. Now, this is ep en dunamai. It means to be clothed further. So it's en duo, to clothe or put on. And then there's epi, in the sense of further. It's only here in biblical Greek. You won't find this elsewhere in the New Testament or Septuagint. So we groan, desiring to put on the oiketerion, yet another synonym here, meaning dwelling, our dwelling, the one which comes from heaven. A get, now we don't get too many particles with get, but if in fact also, so it's sort of like even if in fact. Now there's a variant reading here. The reading here we have is ek dunasomino, having put off our clothes, so being unclothed. Most other texts read en du nasaminoi, meaning having put on our clothes, and I think many translations translated as though it was en. But I think the ek is actually right, because we get a gar coming up here explaining it. So I'm going to translate what's here, but you'll just note it may be different to some of the other translations and perhaps other texts. So for indeed, even if, having put off our clothes, we will not be found naked. This is a future passive from Heurisco. And then we have an explanation of that with the gar, which is why I think the ek is right. So I think what he's saying is here, having this metaphor is the idea of putting on one's clothes, that is, being clothed in a human body, and then there's this idea of putting on other clothes, which is some sort of heavenly body. So I think he's saying here that even if we have put off our earthly clothes, we will not be found naked, for those being entoskene, this is this neuter skenos again, for being in the tent, I take this to mean the, well, in our human body, for being in the tent, we groan, baruminoi, being weighed down, f hoi. Now this again is awkward. It means for which, something like for which reason, wherefore, or because. This is a post-classical usage. In classical Greek, f hoi normally means on the condition that, but apparently this doesn't quite work here. It must be something like because we do not wish ek dusastai, to be unclothed, but, and then we get the ep en dusastai that we had up here, but to be clothed further, in order that katapothe tothneton hypotest soes. In order that tothneton is the mortal thing, so what is mortal in us, or our mortal nature. Katapothe is from katapino. This is an aorist passive subjunctive from katapino. Pino is to drink, katapino is to swallow up, to generally used of monsters devouring people and so on. So in here it's in order that our mortal, that which is mortal in us, might be swallowed up by life. This is very complicated. You'll have to read the commentaries to have it further expounded here. I can just translate what's here. So I'll just quickly do that sentence again. For those being in the tent, for we who are in the tent, we groan, being weighed down, because we do not wish to put off, to be, well, to put away our clothes, to put off our clothes, to be unclothed, but to be clothed further, in order that that which is mortal in us might be swallowed up by life. Hoder kat ergesaminos hemas eis auto tuto theos, hodus hemin to arabona to pneumatos. But the one, now this is perfect participle here, well, from ergasdomai, it's the middle I should say. So the one having prepared us for this very thing, understand, is God. So God is the one having prepared us for this very thing. The one giving to us the arabone of the Spirit. And this is a funny word here. It does turn up in the Septuagint. It has the sense of a down payment. It's something you give someone. We would almost like collateral or something. It's something you give someone as a down payment, and so it's the down payment of the Spirit. It's actually used in that unpleasant story back in the Old Testament, where I think it's is it Jacob who sleeps with his own daughter-in-law, whom he thinks is a prostitute, and he gives her various tokens as an arabone, as a down payment, and then offers to give her other things later. In modern Greek, the arabona is used of a engagement ring. So it's got the idea of giving someone something as a proof of that you're going to go ahead with what you've agreed to. It's like a down payment. So the one having given to us the arabone, the down payment of the Spirit. Tharuntes un pantoti kai edotes hoti en daimuntes ento somati ek daimumen apot tu kuriou. I might just pause it there. In this next section we have two main verbs being used here. One is ek daimio and endaimio. Endaimio literally means to be in the country. Ekdaimio means to be abroad, to be out of the country, or hence to depart from or be away from. We're getting both of these words here. This is from Thario. So taking heart, being confident therefore always, and knowing that en daimuntes, being present, I might perhaps will say, in the body, we are absent, we are away from the Lord. It's hard to get this quite into English because these words mean to be in the country and be out of the country, but they're being used loosely in the sense of being present in or absent from. Diapistios 4, peripatumen, we walk by faith, dia edus, not through edus. This is a genitive from eidos, that which is visible. It's connected with the root adon, I saw, so that which is seen, that which is visible. Some translate it as just sight, which is possible at this point of the language. Tharumen de kai eudokumen malon ek demesai ek tu somatos kai endemesai proston kurion. For being confident, for we are confident, and eudokumen, eudokio is to be pleased with something, and it's with malon. This may be idiomatic here. It's something we are well pleased rather, and so many translate this as would prefer. There's no conditional here, but perhaps that's the sense of this idiomatic usage here. So we are confident also, and we would prefer, literally we would be well pleased rather, ektomese, to be away from the body and to be present with the Lord. Dio kai philotomumetha ate en demuntes ati ec demuntes uarestoi auto ani. Wherefore, for which reason, dia plus hot, wherefore also, this is from philotomiamai, which is with something like to be ambitious for, was the original. It means to love honour was the original meaning of it, but then the meaning moves on. So for which reason also we are ambitious for, or we aspire to, or we make it our aim, ate, whether being present or whether being absent, we make it our aim, and it takes an infinitive, to be arrestoi, well pleasing, auto to him. Tous carpantas hemas phanerothenai de emprosthen to bematos to Christou, hina commissatai hekastos tardia to somatos pros ha epraxin, ati agathon ati phaulon. For it is necessary, and then takes an accusative and infinitive, it is necessary for all of us to be caused to appear. It's an aorist passive from phaneroo, is to appear, probably used in a causative sense here, to be caused to appear, empros then, before to bematos. This is from bema. It originally just means a step. It's connected with bino, to walk. And then it comes to mean a bema is a judgment seat. It's like becomes a law court term. It's the place where presumably the judge stands up on to give judgment. So it comes to mean the bema, the judgment seat. You'll see it in the Gospels as well. So, for it is necessary for all of us to be caused to appear before the judgment seat of Christ, hina, in order that hekastos, each one, commissatais from commisdo, it has a slightly different meaning. Commisdo in classical Greek is to convey. In the Septuagint, this verb is used with the meaning of to be compensated for, to receive as your due in the passive. So for each man to be compensated for, or to receive as his due, perhaps. Now, literally, in respect of the things through the body, in regard to things which he has done. So it's a slightly elliptical expression here. It simply means to be compensated for the actions done in the body. But it's a slightly longer form in the Greek, in respect of the things through the body, in regard to which he has done. Rather odd expression. So I'll just translate it as for each person to be compensated for or receive as his due for actions done in the body, ati agathon, whether good, ati phaulon, or whether bad. And that is the first part of chapter 5.